Hey, today we're going to talk about why your practice growth may be stalling if it is. So let's check it out. Today the topic is called decision fatigue and why a practice might stall in its growth. Now, this is something you probably never ever thought of, but when you come into work every day, you come in with the best of intentions to have a good day, get through the day, make some patients super happy, keep your staff all doing well and producing and everything, right? That is what you're coming in for and expecting. But by the end of the day, you are mentally drained in a lot of cases. A lot of doctors I've talked to said that they are mentally drained by the end of the day. Not physically, sometimes physically, yes, too, because your job is a little bit physically demanding, where you're on your feet up and down and walking up and down the hallway to get the next patient, etc. So that's one thing. Physical tiredness, okay, we can't do anything about that. Exactly, maybe work out more. But we can do something about the mental fatigue. Because here's what happens. As you go through a day, you are confronted with decision after micro decision. Staff have a way of coming and ambushing you with questions in between patients. Sometimes you have a supplier who's changing their price, or they don't have the one thing that you were ordering, but they have something similar and they're going to call you for a decision on that. Your banker calls you, your accountant calls you. Could be staff need direction on how to handle an upset patient, or whether to call somebody, or whether they should avoid that person. When you're hiring, you've got decisions to make. If your office manager is doing the interviews, like decision, every single patient you treat, really, there's decisions being made there. Am I doing the right treatment? Is there another alternative? You offer it to the patient, like the ideal way of doing this would be blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure you want the best, right? And so on, but they're going to have to make a decision. And if they say no, then you say, okay, so in the meantime, we could do blah, blah, blah. There's another decision you just made, etc. By the end of the day, you have made a million decisions. A bunch of them don't belong to you or shouldn't be on your plate. And that's what we're going to look at now. The thing for you as the practice owner is you have two hats. You are the dentist, so you have that set of decisions for the patients and things that you deal with the staff on. But then you're also the owner of the practice. And that is a totally different set of decisions on how you want things done. And everybody comes to you for the ultimate deciding point. Like you're it, and they can't move forward on some things unless you authorize them to go ahead. So there's an actual answer for how you deal with that. Here's a couple of points we want to take up that will help you with this micromanaging decision-making process. The first one is reduce repeat decisions. And the answer is not be more decisive. It is to reduce unnecessary decisions. Who should actually be taking care of that? And how do you actually handle, like cancellations? They can handle that, but you should have policy on it so they know what to do when somebody attempts to cancel. For one thing, they never say, so, okay, Mrs. Jones, no problem, you want to cancel, so when would you like me to reschedule? You're supposed to try and save it and get her to come in anyway and work it out with her. But at any rate, ordering supplies, okay. Now, there are things that they run out of that are everyday things, and they should have it in write-ups for their job on you're allowed to order this, and this is the budget, and this is how to know whether it's in your authority to order that. That way they don't have to come to you for every single little thing. Another one is complaints. If they get a patient complaint, there's minor complaints where they just kind of bitch a little bit about the pricing of something that they got done or are being proposed to have done. And they're out front, and the staff have certain permissions and should be given authority to handle those, because if you train them, they can take that off you. But if they have a major complaint where they've written a really nasty Google review, or they are ranting and raving at the front desk and that sort of thing, it definitely will probably require the intervention of the owner of the practice. So you have to give them some criteria. So we call that clarity of who decides what. And you want to divide it into 3 categories. These are the 3 categories. Those that the staff can make independently, those requiring managerial input, and those reserved just for you. So when expectations are explicit, interruptions decrease, confidence increases, and delegation without authority ends. They don't decide things that they shouldn't decide, in other words. So when you give them authority to handle most of the things that are going to come on their plate, this builds up their feeling of, being capable, and they'll grow on that. Next thing is we're going to talk about how to protect your strategic thinking time, because you should have some every week. You should make significant business decisions, not squeezed in at the end of the day when you're already tired from your micro decisions all day. You want to actually, because then you just want to go home, right? forget the growing, the practice, like I'm too tired. So we want to do something about that. So we want to create some deliberate planning time. This is yours. And during that time, you focus on the growth of the practice, the staffing situations that you want to decide on, pricing changes that you may want to do, marketing that you may want to do, any long-term decision or direction thing, okay? And when you shift from reacting to all the decisions that you have to make into being proactive of deciding growth, things are going to grow your practice much more easily. So you want to reduce the noise by getting the other clarity straightened out with the staff, what they're to take off of your plate, and now give you time without decision fatigue to actually do things that will grow the practice, reduce the noise, preserve your mental energy. And those decisions that you make are going to shape the future of your practice. So to recap, when you feel mentally stretched thin, don't try and do your future planning. Okay? With the right decisions and clear thinking time, leadership becomes a lot steadier and growth is much more easily sustained. So have fun with this. Try it out. Give your staff some directions and take all of the micro decisions off of you and move forward.